Thank you for tuning into Cytology 101. I'm your host, Sydney Robinson. We'll get into the challenges of the dental industry, empower leaders to inspire their teams, and foster collaboration between office team members and practice owners. Together, we'll find creative solutions to get shit done.
What makes a baller team? For me, when I was like, I'm going to be a whole new Sydney, I'm going to be a whole new leader, how am I going to build an ideal team that not only compensate my weaknesses, but can also help me grow these practices? And the first thing I realized was a squad. We all have to be in this together. There's no me in this. It's all about us. It's all about we. If I'm going in and I'm saying, well, Susie didn't do the sterilization, so I can't see my patients. Hygiene, I can't seat my patients because Susie didn't do sterilization. Okay, well, did you talk to her about it? Did you ask her, like, hey, I noticed that sterilization isn't done. Maybe Doc ran over on a root canal. Maybe, Susie took a phone call. Like, did we ask? Did we communicate that? So the first thing I wanted to find out is how can I build a team that is all about we, us, versus me? How can I identify people that are going to be singular and that fit our squad? The next thing I wanted to look for was people that actually show up. People that are humble. They're going to give support to each other. If Susie did have to go take a personal call and Susie came to me like, hey, the kid's school called or my husband called, it sounds like it's an emergency. Do you mind seating my patient for me? Absolutely, Susie, I will go and do that. But if you're going to them like, no, I got my own patient, or you're not wanting to be able to support your other team members, that's a problem. That's a real problem. And I wanted to make sure that moving forward, if I'm going to change and hire people that's going to fit my squad, I have to make sure that everybody's going to show up, everyone is going to support each other, that we all have each other's back. The next thing is fun, positive, and good vibes. As you guys can see my personality, I absolutely love to have fun. I love to giggle. I love to play games. And there's so much going on outside these doors. And we work together 8 hours a day. I'm with you guys more than I'm with my family. If I have to walk into the office and literally grit my teeth because I'm going to see Esty, that's a problem. That's a whole problem. And me as a leader, I said, I don't want to do that anymore. Never again. There's no reason why I should see someone's face and literally like body tense up. So how can I avoid that? I want to find people that are fun, positive, and have great vibes as well. So as we're thinking about how can we have a baller team, and you think about your team, what is it that you guys can do to say, I want to make sure that moving forward, this is my core group, this is what I want. So when we think about a good team, what is the first words that pops up in your mind? And just shout it out at me, because a lot of y'all know I don't like to talk at people, I like to talk with people. So join in, participation. What makes a baller team? Alignment, yes, girl, yes. Communication, yes. Trust, ooh, where you at? Yes, girl. Adaptability, ooh, yes. Who's that? Yes, girl. Collaboration, yes. I love all of those words. All of those words is what really do make a great team. We have being smart, but not book smart, people smart. Being able to read a room. Positive, curious. Are you going to ask questions, or are you just going to go in and do it for the sake of doing it because someone told you to do it? Are you going to ask questions? Why am I doing this? I mean, there's a respectful way, of course. Like, I'm not going to go, why, Dr. Kim? Like, why do you want me to do this? I'm not going to do that. How is it something that's going to implement in the practice? Like, how do you see us using this? You got to be curious about what it is that you're being told at the end of the day. Not cocky, right? That was me when I was 21. I just knew I had this. I got this, y'all. Walking in there with my little chest out. I got this. Someone who's not cocky, reliable. They have a growth mindset. They're humble. They're driven. They actually want something. I don't know about any of you in this room, but I've worked with a couple of people that I asked them, like, hey, how was your weekend? Or what are you working on now? And they're like, nothing. No drive whatsoever. It was just like, I'm just here, so I can get a paycheck. Or I'm just here so I don't get fired. Well, what do you do outside of work? Well, I just pet my cats. Okay, so Nothing, or like, what are your goals? Like, what are your personal goals? When I'm thinking about my team, I want people that have drive, that have personal goals. Like, how can I help you work towards those goals? And the biggest reward is when they actually accomplish those goals. We have someone that said, you know what? I want to move out of Nebraska. I want to get my own place. And this is my first real job. And so I was like, hell yeah. How can we make all those things happen? Ashley goes, well, wait, if she moves out of state, is she still going to work with us? I was like, I don't care. She wants to be independent. She wants to get out of her parents' house. And when she told me, like, this is her actual, and this is actually in the interview process, she told me, well, this would be my first real job if I ever get hired. I was like, hired. This is it. Like, she had drive. She had want. She wanted to be a part of something. Absolutely. You're definitely going to fit our squad. And now, after a couple of adjustments, she started off as our member relations. But then I was sitting down with her and I was talking to her about those goals. And she goes, I just feel like I'm stuck. Like, this is a really great job, but I just feel like I'm stuck. And I go, well, what do you like to do? She goes, actually, I really like design and marketing. I go, well, why don't we just put you over in marketing? She goes, I can do that. Well, yeah, you can. I want people to be happy. I want people to be right where they want to be. And if I can give them that, then why not? So how is that any different in the dental office? How is that any different than a treatment coordinator wanting to go into hygiene school or, being a dental assistant? But do you guys know that about your team members? I don't think that leaders in the practice just have to ask this question. Go up to one of your homegirls or homeboys in the office. You've been talking to them a lot, right? You're there 8 hours a day. Ask people, like, hey, you know what? I never asked you this. What do you want to be when you grow up? Like, where do you want to be? That is how we start to collaborate. We start to have that drive. We start to work together because we're not just all sitting at the lunch table talking about amalgam filling. No one does amalgam. But a filling, or we need to remove this amalgam filling or whatnot. They're not just talking about work. It doesn't always have to be about work. Let's have fun, but also let's get shit done while we're having fun. So when I think about leadership, as I'm talking about, how can we build this baller team, asking those type of questions, finding those right people, I do think that it starts with leadership. But for my team members, treatment coordinators, because I know there's treatment coordinators here, there are front office people here, which y'all are going to see me do that a lot with an eye roll. We are not a destination or a piece of furniture. You're a real person. So at some point, I really want to just murder that name or that phrase. And that is my goal in life, is to get rid of front office and front desk. And if anybody wants to support me in that, please join. There's a line here. We can all line up and say, we refuse. Let's give us a real title, okay? I have some if you need some. Anyway, but I do think that it starts with leadership. But that doesn't mean office managers. That does not mean our practice owners. That means us as individuals. We can still lead and influence our team members. I don't have to say, well, that's the office manager's job. That's not my job. She better handle that. Okay, but are we working together? Because I'm only one person. I only have two eyes. And if I'm over here doing this, but this is falling apart, why can't we support our office managers? I just remember that was one thing that actually happened to me. I had no idea I think it was like 3 days, one of the room operatories was down and they were moving patients off the schedule, rescheduling patients because we were down to 3 ops. I see you frowning, and that was my exact face. That was my exact facial expression. And when I worked in the office, because I would go to New River and then I go down, so I did miss that, right? But when I brought it up, can you guys imagine the feedback that I got? Well, why didn't you know? Excuse me, I didn't think I was Mary Poppins, where I can be just anywhere, everywhere, and I can hear and see everything, right? Well, I had to figure out, how can I bridge this communication gap here? Because for some reason, everybody thinks that this is my job. But then when I thought back for when I was a team member, I knew that I would actually go to my office manager or I would go to my doctor and say, hey, room 3 water suction is down. I can help if you need me to help. Like, that's just me and what I would go in and do. And I just expected everybody to be like me, but they're not. I don't want you guys to see this as a office manager or a practice owner. You guys can be leaders within your role. Oh, my team hear me say this a lot. Own it. If I'm a treatment coordinator, own it. You know, if you're a dental assistant, own your role. Be the leader in your role, because guess what? If you do have hopes and dreams of growing in that position or growing in a dental practice, then that's how you're going to get to where you need to be. So the first thing I like to say is empower. Any leader or any influencer in the practice, we want to empower our team members. Give your team members the tools and resources to execute their daily task efficiently. That's how we're going to be able to empower them. And what I mean by that is, if I'm in morning huddle, I'm going to keep with the scenario because that was something that used to stand out for me. The schedule, we're short $2,000. We want to meet our production goal for the day. So in our morning huddle, I'm going to go over that with our team members. Hey guys, we are just shy of $2,000. Let's fill the schedule today. If I go in and I do that, okay, we can fill the schedule, but am I really empowering each individual in the room to help us get to where we want to be? No. I need to give them the tools and resources. And in our minds, we may think that they know, but they don't. It may be my own interpretation. So we have to go in, and whether we're a leader or a team member, okay, Sydney, if we were able to get $2,000 on the schedule, where can we put this patient? Great question. Let's look at our schedule. We can plug them in here and here, right? Now we're having a more collaborative conversation. Okay, well, I can call these patients and see if they can come in. Well, okay, are those big cases that we can, where we can move the needle, or are they fillings, or are they a night guard? Is that really going to move the needle, right? So now I want to give them helpful tools and resources, and we're going to discuss it. Open dental users, y'all know one of my favorite things to do is I'll go to my treatment finder. Okay, Julia, I see that we have a 2-hour block. If I give you independent time, can you go and call these lists of people? On the treatment finder, in the last 30 days, we have 22 patients that we diagnosed a crown for. If we can call these patients and try to get them in, we only need 2 to actually schedule to get to that 2,000. That's the type of conversation we're having in our morning huddles. We're not just saying, go call 10 patients. No, let's be strategic about it. Let's work smarter, not harder. Now I've empowered my team. I'm not going in as the leader and doing it, but also my dental assistant, they feel like, okay, I understand, I can actually go in and I can do this. Or sometimes I used to get, I don't feel comfortable calling patients, or I don't know what to say to patients. Oh, great. I'm happy that you brought that up. And one, thank you so much for actually saying that. I'm happy to help you. Here's some helpful verbiage that I use. And I would go over that with them. That's how we're giving them the tools and resources. For our leaders in the office, how many times have you asked someone, hey, we need to fill the schedule, can you call these patients? And then how many of them actually do it and do it successfully? Having conversations like that is how we're going to move the needle. We're going to build that ideal baller team by empowering them, giving them the resources, working through these problems. We expect for everybody to know it, but not everybody does. But the glorious part about that is if you're empowering them, they're not going to come to me and say, Sydney, well, what patient should I call? Now, because they know we've done this before, I don't even have to say that anymore. They just jump in and they just do it. And it's not going to work 100% of the time, everybody. I don't want to paint this rosy picture. It does not work all the time. There are literally psychos in the world, and you may have to take a different approach. Or that system that we used to do may not work for you guys. There may be something else that will really work for your office. But the whole thing of this is figuring it out and then utilizing what's working for you and put that into place. And it's also giving your team members a voice. Giving them a voice where it's not just me coming up with all of the ideas. Now they're invested in it because we're having an actual conversation about this. How can we fill the schedule? So empower your team. Don't just have it all up to you. Influence. Influence team members by actively listening, streamlining workflows, and communications. You have to hear what the challenges are. Yes, I know. It really does sound like excuses. And a lot of them are excuses, to be fair. I would love to tell you that it's not, but we have to listen. So the one gal who was like, hey, I really don't feel comfortable calling patients. Can you tell me more about why you don't feel comfortable calling patients? Is there something I can do to support you? I just don't know what to say when I'm calling them. Like I would call them and half the time they don't pick up, or they'll just tell me no, they'll reschedule later on. Okay, that is a valid point, right? So if they're telling us that, we have to actively listen. They're already giving us the reason why they don't feel good. And the real reason in that, anybody? Confidence. They don't feel confident in the task that you just gave them. You got to think about that. How many of you guys delegated something to a team member and instantly you get pushback? And that's going back to tools and resources. I'm happy you shared that with me. Let's walk through this together. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys feel that same way. You do give the tools and resources. You do go through and you ask them, or, hey, what's going on? Maybe you did everything that I just mentioned, right? But no one's actually applying it. If I'm doing the steps and I'm checking all my boxes and they're still not doing it, I don't have that squad that I need who's going to actually get the job done. Maybe they're not taking the initiative. Maybe they don't have the drive. Right? And then we have inspire and then master. Inspiring your team member to collaborate and innovate and take calculated risk. That is extremely important. If you have a team member who was a Sydney, because y'all, I used to go off the handle. I would go and do whatever I wanted to do when I worked in a dental practice. I really didn't wait for someone to tell me what to do. If I had a task or I saw something was wrong, I just went in and did it. That was always not the way, though. I made a lot of mistakes and made a lot of people upset with that. But what I found that I was missing was I may have gone in and did that. I was taking a calculated risk, but I wasn't communicating with the team what I was doing. That's what my downfall was. It wasn't the fact that I would take the initiative. It was the fact that I didn't communicate that. And when I did communicate finally, it was like, oh, that was actually a really good job. Or vice versa, it would be, well, we technically wouldn't do it like that because of this. At least you took that calculated risk. I like that you took the initiative. In the future, I would like for you to do it like this. Sometimes I didn't get that response. Sometimes I would be told, no, just don't do that again. And it wasn't until like a couple of years later that I eventually just go, if you had to, this was actually a billing issue where the patient was really upset. Mark always used to tell me I have $500 to make it right. So I gave this patient that $500 discount, and then I put him on an in-office payment plan. We don't do that in our office, not at all. But the mistake was ours. We didn't submit perio charting, and then it was something else with the implant. The implant just didn't get paid, and it was a huge balance on the account. I just took the risk of doing it. But Mark told me, hey, no, I really wish you wouldn't have done that. Let's just take care of that a little bit later. And so I was like, dang, I fucked up. So, of course, what I did, I said, okay, well, if this happens again or something like this does happen, how would you like for me to handle it? So instead of just taking no, I didn't do it right, I asked that question. Well, how would you handle it? Or so that I know next time was my favorite one too. Like I wanted to be polite. I didn't want it to come off like weird or mean or anything like that. I really truly wanted to know. And so that's how I learned to take calculated risk. Sometimes we're going to fail. Sometimes it's going to work and sometimes it's not. But when it doesn't work, you have to ask that question. What would you have done differently? How many of us are scheduling coordinators? Because that was one of my jobs too when I was, okay. How many times have your either clinical team or your doctor come to you and say that patient isn't scheduled correctly? And you're like, that patient is scheduled correctly. It's an hour. What are you talking about? But all of a sudden the patient's just scheduled wrong, right? Well, I got sick of that. And so I started asking the question, where would you put that patient? And then it just opened up this whole new can of worms. I remember when I started to learn Mark and how he used to treat patients, I was like, he would sit down and he would say, Sydney, you can't put this here because if you put an implant next to the filling, I can't jump from this room. I'm in this implant and I can't leave this filling. So we want to stagger it. It wasn't until I opened my mouth and I said, how would you schedule this patient? And now I understand his thought process. I try to think how my team members would think, and that's by asking questions. So leading with curiosity, allowing your team members to take calculated risk, applaud them for it. I appreciate you took the initiative. For our office managers, how many of you guys have a long list of things sitting on your desk of tasks? Don't you wish someone would have just took the initiative to handle at least 50% of that? And then when they do you say, no, you didn't do that right, I'll go in and fix it? Be honest, how many of you did? I was too. Let's not do that. Let's stop that. They will never do it again. They'll back down. That's that submissive state. You've just told me I did something wrong, so I'm never going to take that risk again. So we have to encourage them to say, hey, I'm happy you took that initiative. I'm happy that you went in and did it. Here's what I would have done differently. I want you to continue to do this, because if you guys don't encourage that, you guys are going to go back to your office, whether you're a leader, whether you're a dental assistant, you're a treatment coordinator, you're going to have a stack of treatment plans sitting on your desk. You're going to have a stack of insurances where someone's like, oh, I didn't know how to answer this question. Did you not know, or did you just not do it? But that's because no one's taking calculated risk. They're not taking an initiative to go find out. Let's encourage them to do that. And when they fail, it's all right, y'all. It's not the end of the world. It's all right. And then once you have that, master emotional intelligence. I did not do really well when it came to emotional intelligence. I could not read a room to save my life at all. I cared less if someone was having a bad day. We are here to do a job, y'all. So suck that shit up and let's go. You better just tighten up your laces and let's just get on out there, right? I was not great, really. And that was my mindset. I was really a GSD or no nonsense type of person. But the only thing that upset me, and going back to my insecurities, was working hard. Y'all, we all have to work hard. We all got to put it in. And it really made me upset when someone just did not put time or didn't even take the time to do it. And it just, I'm going to have this person do it. Or I'm just not even, okay, but why? Why are you here then? Give me your paycheck. Because the way my bank account is set up right now, I need that money. So I'll do your job if you don't want to. I'll go suck spit. You don't want to? It can't be that hard. But that used to upset me so bad. But then what's my energy like? How am I reacting to my team members? It wasn't great. It really wasn't. And that was a me problem. I had to fix that. So mastering your emotions. Being able to read a room, know when you walk into the office and you're tense. So as I talk about some of the challenges that I had, once I woke up and realized my flaws, I found this book called The Ideal Team Player. I had to figure out how I can actually lead my team. A few things that happened was, one, Dr. Mark Costas started putting me in front of resources and tools to help me with leadership. He would send me podcasts. He started taking me to like the mastermind meetings, because before I didn't go to those. He started taking me to the mastermind meetings, to the dental success summits, those type of things. And I just started consuming the same content because I'm telling y'all, I was not a good leader. So I had to figure out, when I was sitting in there and I was, really upset, my biggest thing was I really don't know how to lead people. I really don't, because I didn't understand people. So in this book, he talks about these 3 virtues, which is humble, hungry, smart. And when we're talking about humble, it's the lack of ego. I could be the doctor, I could be the office manager, I could be the lead dental assistant. If we have an ego and we don't give credit where credit is due, we don't shout out someone for, hey, thank you for helping me walk or get my patient back. We don't recognize those team members, or we don't share that credit as one. It's like, oh, well, I did all the work. I don't want anyone like that on my team, because it was actually all of us that did the work. Oh, well, I called 100 patients and I'm the one that got it all scheduled. Okay, that's great. You were able to fill the schedule. Thank you so much. However, who also helped with those phone calls was our dental assistant, who also helped with those phone calls. Our hygienist actually would come up and she would carve out that time. What about the phones? Like, who helped you with the phones? Like, all those things. Let's give credit where credit is due. Then it's hungry, it's self-motivated, diligent, always looking for more. That's that drive. You know, we want somebody that always wants to do something different. Guys, dentistry is consistently changing. How about softwares? How many times have you guys had a new integration of software and everyone gripes about it? Everyone's upset. Open dental conversions. How many of you guys gone through those? Yeah, it is a pain in your ass, but, you know, Mango, Flex. Now everybody's, you know, integrating over to those things. It's hard. However, if no one is driven enough to have an open mindset, we can't keep using the 1970. Okay, I got 40 minutes, so I'm going to derail and I'm going to tell y'all this story. I went to one of our offices. It was such a pleasant experience, and I was like, I got this. I can check this patient out. I was like, you guys go ahead and take a break. We were doing training and all that jazz, and they hadn't had lunch yet, and I just wanted to help the office out. It can't be that hard to check out a patient. So I'm checking out a patient. I do the whole thing. I feel great about it, and then I go to collect the payment. And I'm like, where's the credit card machine? And so I'm like digging around, looking for stuff. I'm not going to say too many curse words in this one. But I'm looking for stuff, and then I see this like box thing. Like it has numbers on it. It looks like a credit card's supposed to go in here. So, okay, I'm just going to, stick this credit card in here. So I figured out how to process this old ancient machine. I don't even know what it was, but it was like a box thing, and it didn't even look like a real credit card machine. So I do the whole thing. The patient's looking at me, and he goes, "What is that?" And I go, "Thank you so much," because I didn't know what this was. So we finally get it to go through. I see the numbers come up, and it's one of those things you had to put in the numbers. Then it asked you if you wanted to do tax. Then I think it asked another question. I can't remember what it was, and I had to skip that. So then I was waiting for it to process. It said approve. Yay, we did it. And so he was like, "I would like a receipt." And I'm looking around and I'm like, where's this? I go, where's the receipt? And so the paper came out of like the bottom of it instead. And I was trying to rip the paper off. And so it just like started pulling paper out. It was just awful. So I tell that story because, guys, sometimes we need change and we need to update our systems and not have an ancient credit card system. But guess when I asked the office, I go, "Can you guys tell me what this is?" And I was trying to be so nice about it, but even the patient was like, "I've never seen this before." And the doctor goes, "Well, I really like it. I've been using it for years, and something about Costco, and they get good something with Costco." I couldn't remember what it was. Like he gets good merchant fees or something like that through Costco or something. And then every team member, I looked at their faces and they just eye rolled so hard. And I go, Moolah has really good merchant fees. Like I can hook you up. Like I know somebody. But that was like one of those situations where the doctor really liked it. But at the end of the day, it was about change. It really wasn't about the merchant fees because technically he really wasn't. There was also like another processing fee that he had no idea that he was paying. He was actually paying more. So hopefully they did switch, but that's one of those things that I just realize is when we get pushbacks from softwares and things like that or change is that confidence. It's just, this is what I'm used to. But at some point, everybody, we do have to evolve and you have to be driven and just want to work more efficiently. It took me literally 20 minutes to figure out this credit card machine. So thank you for my TED Talk. In this book, he talks about not being book smart. It's emotional intelligence, being able to read a room. So common sense, common sense, and emotional intelligence. I do recommend that you guys take a look at that book, The Ideal Team Player. In that book, there's an assessment. It's really good because it breaks down humble, hungry, smart. And when my team, we took this assessment, and we went in, and I scored really high in humble. I scored high in hungry. What do you guys think I did in smart? Yeah, no. It was like a 3, I think. It was terrible. But I scored really low. So after I read that book, after I realized you have to hire people that fits that tribe, and he talks a lot about that too. He talks a lot about how can you identify, how can you eliminate jackasses in your office. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be my mantra moving forward. And I literally wrote it Yeah, I was like, check, and check. How not to have jackasses on my team. And how can I not be one in return? Essentially, I want to call myself out too. How can I not be one in return? But there was some really helpful tips and tricks in that book. And when we took that assessment, now I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing good here. I can work on my communication, all that, right? But I still don't understand people. And that book really, it gave me some helpful tips. Like I said, it helped me identify it, but it didn't really help me with people. So I had to figure this out, and I came across this book called How to Have a Good Day. And actually how I came across this book is because I started looking more into neurodiversity. I really wanted to understand myself and really coming to terms with things that I have problems with. So the ADHD, the dyslexia, those type of things. How does this fit in the workplace? If I can figure out myself, then I can get this done. But I came across this book just solely doing some research to try to figure myself out. And in this book, she does talk a lot about behavioral science. And it opened my eyes to how I can actually, not only how do I interact with people, but how people interact with me. And so I read this book, and there were some really great resources in it, but one of my favorite quotes here was ensuring that colleagues feel that workplace decisions are fair not only keeps their reward system happy, but leaves people with more mental energy to focus on other things. That stood out to me because I realized for myself that I'm trying to do all of these things, and when I get home at night, I'm drained mentally. I am so busy. Okay, I know that I'm not people smart. I'm humble, I'm hungry, but if I go in and I help Susie with this, then now I'm micromanaging. What is it that I'm doing wrong? And so I would feel that I'm mentally drained. And I realized that it's because I'm trying to make all the decisions in my practice, hence the micromanaging. In this book, she talks about the two-system brain. The first part of that system is your deliberate system. The deliberate system is the part of your brain that engages in thoughtful, conscious decision-making and is responsible for planning, analyzing, and strategy. You're actively focused on a specific task, set goals, and make intentional choices. Think about planning a trip, answering email, or working on a project. So let's go back to my example that I said earlier. We're down $2,000, right? We need to add that to the schedule. You are driving into work, and maybe you're listening to something, or maybe you're thinking about all the important things that you need to do. Maybe you had an email that you didn't answer from your patient. Maybe, doc, you were, oh man, you know what? I need to prep for that implant, or I need to talk to my CPA today. I'm going to do that right when I get in. Whatever that task, right before you walk into the office, that's what you were focused on. But then you get to the office and you're like, I'm going to get that done right when I get in. But then someone comes and say, hey, my x-ray machine isn't working. Hey, I'm going to take time off so I can go on a cruise with my husband in 2026. Do we need to talk about this right now, right? When that happens, your brain was actually focused on that task that you set for yourself in the car. Now, if I want you guys to think about that. Do you guys have something that you're like, this is what I want to do? Okay? Now, I come in, and a team member comes in, and they ask you something. What's your body response to that? Yep. Yep. That's exactly what she says in this book. She says your deliberate system is what you're focusing on. So if you said that in the morning, I'm going to do morning huddle, I'm going to call those 2 patients back from the other day, and I want to get to my email. The computer servers just went down. Sarah didn't show up for work. And you have Joe, who's one of your loyal patients, but he likes to talk all day out in the waiting room. What does your body feel like? Panic. That's because your deliberate system said, no. We're supposed to only focus on this task right now. So I realized that as I was working in the office, that would be things that I would do. Now, mind you guys, I have to plan everything because I'm dyslexic and I have ADHD. I will go left with things when I'm supposed to be right. So I would plan my day, but my day is ruined. So what do you guys think my natural response is? Everybody is on my nerves. I was going to say something else, but I decided to keep it PG. The next part of the brain, the other side, is your automatic system. This is the part of your brain that operates on autopilot, handling routine tasks and responses with minimum conscious effort. This system is responsible for everyday habits, reactions, and behaviors that have become ingrained through repetition and experience. Think about talking on the phone and walking, or driving home from work. How many of you guys ever drove home and you're like, did I stop at that stop sign? Jayla said the other day, she goes, I questioned whether or not I hit somebody. I was like, oh my God. But that's your brain. That's the automatic system. It's automatically doing these things for you. So when we think about the two-system brain, and you think your automatic system and your deliberate system, going back to your deliberate system, how I said you guys are actually focused on a task and that you want to go in and you want to do this, but when someone comes in and disrupts that, it makes us naturally like, oh, get away from me, right? Oh, don't do that. So your automatic system, that's the response. It's trying to protect you. It says, no, this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. Get back to where you need to be, and that's your natural response to that.
Hey y'all, it's Sydney. If you've ever been the go-to for everything in the office, then this message is for you. Whether you're running the day-to-day or wrangling in the chaos, the Office Manager Masterclass was made with you in mind. For just $490, you get 22 on-demand training videos, plus my signature workbook, both digital and a printed copy shipped right to your office. I'm talking real-world training on metrics, communications, accountability, leadership, and of course, none of the fluff, just the stuff you actually need to run a thriving practice. I walk you through the hard stuff with real stories, practical systems, and a little tough love. This is how you build confidence, streamline operations, and finally feel like you're not just surviving your job, you're leading it. Grab the masterclass by visiting dentalteamclarity.com and use discount code Sidology15 to receive 15% off. You just tuned in to another episode of Sidology 101. This episode is sponsored by Clarity. If you would like to learn more about live events, project management, leadership coaching, or team training, visit us at dentalteamclarity.com and make sure to follow us on Instagram at Sidology 101.